Hey, how's it going? Back with another video here. You may remember the previous video. If not, I'll put a link somewhere around here where I built this 3D printing kind of gold cube sluice with some custom silicone mats. We're going to see how it works. First off, for the material I'll be running, it's just this unclassified sand I got from the outdoor litter box. I mean, my kid's sandbox. And we're going to seed that. I got a bag, my favorite Paydirt is Klesh Paydirt. I got this Gold Krums Paydirt. I'll put a link down in the description below. I really love this stuff. Anyway, I panned this out previously, not on camera, and I came up with 0.44 ounces of gold. So we'll mix that in there, and then we'll see what our capture rate is. So let's make sure we get all this gold down in there. And the original weight, again, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, 0.44 grams. So we'll mix that in there and we'll get her fired up and see how she does. I'll be powering the whole thing with this 12-volt submersible transfer pump. It's for transferring kerosene and diesel. I got it off of Amazon. It runs through this, I think it's 16 millimeter outside, 12 millimeter inside diameter tubing with a little Y valve. Again, I'll post all this stuff down below. And since I don't have a speed controller for a DC pump, I'm just going to use this variable DC power supply. We'll set it at 12 volts and we can control the current to run it. Alright, I did scrub the mats prior to using it. Just want to make sure that there's no oil or anything on it. And we'll give it 2-3 spritzes of jet dry. Again, I don't know what to expect with flow, so we'll just try a couple different options, see how she goes. Alright, let's take a look at the layers and see how she's performing. You can see here we have our Faux Dream mat. And there's quite a bit stuck in those little riffles there. It looks like I got pretty decent flow. Kind of impressed with that. I didn't expect really anything. In our second layer you can see we have the shallower riffles. And it's holding on to quite a bit of material. The next layer down is kind of our deeper riffles. And again, this is all just kind of in random order. I probably could have thought it out better, but I was just curious to see how it worked. And it's holding way more material as you'd expect. Then we come down to our next, which is our shallow Dream mat style riffles, and it's holding on to some material. And finally you can see we have some more shallow standard rectangular riffles. And I don't expect to see much gold there. Actually, I don't even know if we'll see any gold. It seems like it's holding on to most of the material, which is probably a reflection of poorly made mats. Well, let's run the rest of this material and see how it's doing. Alright, we've run the material for a few minutes, so we'll shut her down. Alright, now that we're done, we'll go ahead and start our clean out. This assembly's pretty easy. It all just kind of nests in there. And I see our first piece of gold. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. That it got caught on the, this is just, I guess for lack of a better term, an indicator mat. It's really just, the only texture is from the 3D printed ridges, and it did hold on to some gold. Alright, now this is interesting. So I have the second mat, and this is the Faux Dream mat. And you can see I got a nice, one of the bigger chunks right there, and some pieces right here at the top of the riffles. And you can also see there's a bunch of the gold right there got caught in this, I don't know, for lack of a better term, nugget trap. You can see there's quite a bit of space here. This mat I made a little thicker than I would have liked. This is the first Dream mat style mat that I made, and it's way too thick. But this ended up catching quite a bit of the gold, it looks like. Alright, let's take a look and see what we're left with. So here's our tailings bowl. There's quite a bit of material in there. We'll pan that out. And here's our actual, what we cleaned up out of the matting and the sluice itself. So let's go ahead and pan this down and see if we got our 0.44 grams of gold back. I'm using this little pan. I think a bigger pan would be better, but I don't feel like going and getting it. Sorry for the bad angle. I'm panning left-handed. Feels like someone else is doing the panning. Alright, so there's our final clean out. Let's get it dried out and weighed up and see how we did. Alright, let's turn on our scale. And we'll put the bowl on. We'll tear it out. We're down to 0. I've got all the gold dried and put right there. You see, when I was panning it the first time, there's a couple chunks there. I had this stuff, fool's gold. The sun must have been in my eyes. These aren't my normal shoes that I wear when I'm panning for gold. Something was off, I guess. So I guess the moral of the story is fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on glue. Anyway, we put that in there. And my scale's doing some funny things, 0.76. Well, let's pan through the tailings and see if we missed anything. That's probably the most reliable way to do it. Well, as it turns out, it wasn't a second gunman on the grassy knoll that took my gold. It was just poor panning technique. So I did find what I think might be the missing gold. And we lost some. You can see these are some fairly large chunks that our sluice box missed. There's also quite a bit of lead. I probably shouldn't use shredded lead paint chips for my kid's sandbox, but I did find quite a bit of lead in there. So what does that tell us? Well, I think our mats were not the greatest mats. I think the design of the sluice is pretty good. Again, I'll include the 3D STL files for those prints down below, and as well as the prints for the mats. But yeah, not too impressed with the mats. I think with some dialing it in, I could probably get it good as store-bought. So I think we'll go back to the drawing board and try again. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe you learned something. Maybe you learned not to watch this stuff anymore. Anyway, since you did, I really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching.